What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here to examine X-Men issue 137, the big finale to the Dark Phoenix saga. If you have the trade paperback that I used to have, there is one more issue collected there that is kind of a coda to the whole storyline, but this is effectively the end of this storyline that's been going on for a little while now and has been built up to for even longer. And I have to say, in previous times that I have read this story, I liked the ending better than I did this time. And admittedly, in the past when I would read the Dark Phoenix saga, I was looking at it as a whole. The first time I read this storyline, which was close to 20 years ago probably, I was looking at the whole thing, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was looking at it all as one piece, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then on more recent readings, I was still looking at it as one piece, and in one of the more recent readings, I was looking at it as part of the very lengthy Claremont run, the Claremont and Cockrum run, and then the Claremont and Byrne run, and then the aftermath is the Claremont and Cockrum run again. I was looking at it as part of that run, but I still pretty much enjoyed the whole thing. Looking at it this time, as I was examining each issue, I was looking at each issue by itself, and then I was also looking at the entire Dark Phoenix saga. And this issue, I feel like, does a pretty solid job tying up the Dark Phoenix saga, but as an issue on its own, I feel like there are numerous ways that this issue could have been better. And I don't want to come off as a contrarian. I think a lot of X-Men fans, if you ask them to list their top 5 X-Men individual issues, this would probably top the list for a lot of people. But for me, reading it this time, I couldn't help but feel a little bit disappointed. So we start off with the X-Men are teleported into the Shi'ar Imperial spaceship, and Lilandra says Phoenix has to die because she exterminated an entire star system, and Cyclops says, well, hold on a second, Professor X was able to block Dark Phoenix from Jean's mind. Now she's just regular Jean Grey. And Lilandra says maybe, or maybe she will activate her Phoenix powers again, and she will be a danger to the entire universe. And so Charles Xavier, he calls for a trial by combat, basically, and he says the X-Men will fight the Imperial Guard for the life of Jean Grey. And Lilandra is thinking, well, that can't be refused legally, so yes, we have to say yes. But then she tells, she's talking to the Kree Supreme Intelligence, she's talking to the Skrull Queen, they have all species have temporarily forged an alliance. She's talking with her advisor, and she says, I promise you, no matter what happens, the X-Men are not going to win. Which makes me think, even if the X-Men somehow were able to defeat the Imperial Guard, and they were already outnumbered there, if they were somehow able to defeat the Imperial Guard, that Lilandra probably would have just, like, nuked the planet that they were on. Or, they're on the moon. Sorry, they're on Earth's moon. But she would have just nuked the moon. She would not have let them get off this planet, even if they won the trial by combat. And this issue, one of the things that I do like about it is this kind of culminates in this love versus duty thing that's been going on really since the very beginning of the all-new, all-different run. Was it issue 94, where all of the original 5 X-Men say that they want to leave, except for Cyclops? They say they want to go and form lives of their own. They have been X-Men for years, and now they want to go and do something else. And Cyclops is the one who says, no, I'm going to stick with Professor Xavier. I'm going to stay as an X-Man. And that made sense at that moment, because we had seen in the Silver Age that all of the other X-Men, they have families, and they have goals and dreams. Beast, he wants to go and be a scientist with the, was it the Brand Corporation? And then Warren, he's got a company to run. And we have all these characters, even though we have seen that Professor Xavier wipes the memories of the parents of Iceman and the parents of Beast, that they still have families that they can go to. Scott does not. Scott has his brother Alex, who is off playing Spin the Bottle with Polaris. And so Scott did not have anything to go to except for the X-Men. And so in that moment, it made sense to me that Scott would choose duty over doing something else, forming his own life, living whatever he wanted to do. We had never really seen that Scott wanted to do something else other than be an X-Man. So that decision made sense. And then whatever issue it was where Jean emerges from Jamaica Bay and says, I am fire, I am life, I am Phoenix, Scott tries to go and rescue her because she falls falls in the water, and Nightcrawler kind of tries to hold him back, and Scott says, if you try to stop me again, I will kill you. And so right then, we are seeing the beginning of Scott choosing love over duty. That being an X-Man is not as important as his life with Jean Grey. That's been kind of reignited since she has been hanging out with him a little bit. It was right before the Stephen Lang Sentinel storyline. She was hanging out with Scott on Christmas Eve. And then the X-Men, they go to Cassidy Keep in Scotland. And then I think it's Ireland. I'm sorry. I get Ireland and Scotland confused. Anyway, they go to Cassidy Keep, and then the Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy attack the X-Men, and Professor X is there at the hospital with Jean, who has been kept overwatch, and then Scott is watching over Jean, and then Professor X says to Scott, you need to go and rescue the X-Men. And Scott says, no, I'm here with Jean. I'm staying with Jean until she's ready to be taken out of the hospital. The X-Men can take care of themselves. And so, once again, Scott chooses love over duty. And this issue has got that all over the place. You've got Scott, obviously he's going to fight for Jean's right to live. Professor Xavier, he also wants Jean to live, but you get the feeling that he is choosing duty over love, because this puts him in opposition with his lover Lilandra, and so he is choosing the X-Men over love, duty over love, and then Lilandra also choosing duty over love. She knows that the Phoenix needs to be destroyed, so she is fighting for the benefit of the entire universe, even if it means that she and Charles Xavier cannot be together. If Charles is never going to forgive her for ordering the execution of Jean Grey, so be it if the rest of the universe lives. And so she chooses duty over love again. And I feel like I'm talking about Game of Thrones. Duty over love, that's a big thing there. But then you have several pages of all of the X-Men thinking to themselves about are they going to do this and why they're going to do this. And this is where I am starting to pick apart this issue a little bit. I feel like you could have condensed all of this down into like one page. There's one part where Cyclops tells the whole X-Men, he says, I don't expect any of you guys to do this. I'm going to stay with Jean. If you guys want to go back home, I won't think anything different of you. And then Angel says, we all agreed, we're all going to stay here and fight for Jean. And I feel like this issue is like 36 or 37 pages long. It's nearly a double-sized issue. I feel like they said, well, this is a big landmark issue, a big, huge milestone. Jean Grey is going to die. Things will never be the same. So we have to celebrate that by making this a double-sized issue. And then we have to fill the double-sized issue with content. And so we spend like 7 or 8 pages with all the X-Men pontificating on what they're about to get themselves into. And it doesn't really mean anything. All of the X-Men basically arrive at the same conclusion. Like, this is going to be really deadly, I'm possibly going to die, Jean is kind of evil, she exterminated an entire star system, but she's still Jean Grey, and I'm going to fight for her. That's what all of the X-Men kind of arrived at independently, and I don't think we needed to spend this much time with all of them. At first, when I first started this issue, I was thinking, this is going to be nice, this is going to give us some nice, slow, quiet character moments before the big explosive action stuff. And it does, but it's all the same character moment repeated until we get it with each X-Man. And I feel like while the stakes in this issue are higher than they have ever been before in an X-Men comic, I feel like you could have gone a little bit bigger. At one point, when the X-Men find out that Jean Grey exterminated the Dabari star system, Storm is thinking to herself, like, how could you, Jean? I want to comfort you because you're like a sister to me, but also I kind of hate you because you exterminated an entire star system. And then later, Storm is thinking to herself that she has not been happy or free since she joined the X-Men. And what if Jean dies in this issue, but what if you had some other huge ramifications here? What if Nightcrawler was paralyzed because he tried to save Angel, or, you know, Angel falls down a bottomless pit, and then we don't see how, but some of the Imperial Guard, they grab him and they put him on a little gurney. What if Angel's paralyzed? Or, you know, he's not a member of the team, he's only guest starring here, so that wouldn't be a really big deal, but what if one of the main X-Men was fundamentally wounded? What if Storm said, I will fight with you guys to save Jean, but after this, I'm leaving the X-Men. I don't want to do this anymore. Storm is kind of thinking how the X-Men has made her miserable. So it would have made sense for Storm to say, I'm going back to Africa. I don't want to deal with this anymore. If we had more consequences as the result of this storyline, I feel like a lot of this character stuff would have had more weight. But as is, it felt to me like it was just treading water until we could get to the big fight scene. And then the X-Men split up for some reason, and then the Shi'ar Imperial Guard pretty much knock out the X-Men one at a time, and miraculously none of the X-Men die, or even come close to dying, really. There's a couple of close moments, I guess, but really, I never, and part of it is rereading this issue, but even the first time I read this issue, I never got the feeling that anyone else was in danger except for Jean. But we get a lot of weird stuff. We have Wolverine accidentally falls into the Watcher's house, and then the Watcher says, hey, get out of here. And then Wolverine is thrown out, and he's like, man, that was weird. And then there is a Skrull agent and a Kree agent who are supposed to be observing this fight, and then the Skrull tries to kill Wolverine, and then the Kree knocks out Wolverine, and then I think the Skrull actually kills the Kree guy for saving his life, because the Skrull and the Kree, they do not like each other, and so that kind of implies that the Skrull kills that guy. Then at one point, we get a flip on the fastball special, where because they have lighter gravity here, Wolverine is able to pick up Colossus, and he throws Colossus and says, I hesitated the last time it came down to killing Jean. I love her. I cannot be the one that does it. So Colossus, you need to kill Jean. And this is weird. Colossus says, you asked me to kill. I've never done that before. And I don't know, man. I read the Proteus storyline, and it seemed to me that Colossus actually killed Proteus. And then I did a little digging, and Proteus did return later on. It was like the early 90s, I think, was when he returned. And so, technically, I guess Colossus didn't kill him since he was still alive. But as far as everybody knows, Proteus is dead at this point. And so, I don't know why Colossus is saying he's never killed anyone before. That was really weird. But then, and I wonder if that was a situation where there was a little bit of hostility between John Byrne and Chris Claremont, where they would co-plot an issue, and then John Byrne would go and draw all the pages, and then he might come up with an idea that they hadn't necessarily discussed in co-plotting together, and then Chris Claremont would write the words in, and then he might come up with an idea that he hadn't necessarily discussed with John Byrne. For example, a few issues ago when they were in the Hellfire Club, Wolverine mentions how one of the Hellfire goons shot him, and it just grazed him. It didn't hit him full on. He mentions that, but when you look at the art, very clearly that shot hits him full on. And one of the straw that broke the camel's back for John Byrne was Colossus is uprooting a tree a few issues from now in the X-Men's front yard, and Colossus is pulling it out. It looks pretty easy. Colossus is smiling. It doesn't look like it was that difficult, but then the captions say that he pulls with all his might. He struggles, and he barely gets the tree out. And John Byrne was thinking, I'm sick and tired of this. He keeps changing what I intended with the artwork. And this is a situation where you have two guys who together did some of the best comics of all time. I think you would be hard-pressed to find better comic books than were created by John Byrne and Chris Claremont together. But I get the feeling that they just didn't work well together. I get the feeling that they both thought that they were a little too big for their britches. John Byrne may have thought that he was the more important ingredient here. Chris Claremont may have thought that he was the more important ingredient. And so I get the feeling that these two just really didn't like each other, but nonetheless produced some really good comics together. But that may be a situation here where Chris Claremont kind of intended something different for the defeat of Proteus, even though by all accounts it looks like Colossus killed Proteus. So here he's saying, no, he didn't. No. So anyway, all the X-Men get knocked out by the Imperial Guard one at a time, and then it comes down to Jean and Cyclops, and they're going to fight until the end. It's going to be a beautiful, tears in your eyes as these two lovers are going to fight on the very end of their life. And then from a distance, like we don't even get a close-up of it, then suddenly the captions say, Jean is Phoenix again. And then Lilandra is ordering her ships to fire on the moon, and then Professor X is contacting X-Men saying, attack Phoenix. You have to attack Phoenix. And then Phoenix goes from being regular Phoenix to being Dark Phoenix again without any fanfare. She goes in the shadows and then comes out and her costume has changed. And then she commits suicide. She activates a laser weapon that was there on the moon, and then she kills herself. And then Scott is kind of crying, and then we have the Watcher. He started this issue by saying, this is a monumentous moment in human history, and then he's talking to this little robot guy who is watching it, and then that's the end of the issue. Now, I will say, a lot of people, I have seen people recently say that the Dark Phoenix storyline is sexist, because it is saying that a woman cannot handle all that power, and so she is going to be corrupted just by the idea of power. And I never read this that way. The saying goes, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. There isn't a little asterisk there that says, especially if you're a woman. Jean, I feel like the same thing happens to her that would have happened if Nightcrawler got the Phoenix Force. I think eventually it would have been too much for him. Jean is a human being who is forced to hold all this godlike power in her body and in her mind, and it's just too much for anybody. It doesn't matter that Jean is a woman. I look at the end of the Lord of the Rings saga, where Frodo has the ring and he refuses to throw it in the volcano. He is corrupted just the same as Jean is, and it's not sexist when it happens to Frodo, it's not sexist when it happens to Jean. And furthermore, what I feel like a lot of people who say that this is a sexist storyline, they refuse to look at the ending here, where Jean Grey takes matters into her own hands, and she says, okay, Scott, if you're not going to kill me and save the universe, then I will take matters into my own hands. I feel like it would have been a little bit more sexist if Wolverine was the one who did it, or if Wolverine throws Colossus and he's the one who does it, or if Lilandra did it. I feel like Jean actually having some agency here makes her the exact opposite of sexist. She is able to finally take matters into her own hands, and she kills herself to save the entire universe. That would be like if Frodo said, I'm going to keep the ring, and then he puts it on, and then he conquers all of Middle-earth, and then he's an evil tyrant for 40 years, and then in a brief moment of clarity, he realizes what he's done, he takes the ring off, he throws it in a volcano, and then he falls on Sting. That would be like that. Where the character, yes, they've done some bad things, but then they realize that they need to be taken out of the picture or they will do some more bad things. Jean has agency here, which you could argue she didn't have a whole lot of that when she first became Dark Phoenix, but leading up to that, I would say she did. Like when she altered Carmen Pride's memories, which was when he was yelling at the X-Men because the malt shop blew up. When she did that, she has agency. She is taking matters into her own hands, and Cyclops is thinking, I don't like that. So here, she once again, she is able to take control of her life. And I don't see it. People who say this is a sexist storyline, I think sometimes people are just looking for something to complain about. Personally, I don't really think that this is a sexist story. I feel like Claremont definitely, when you look at a lot of his work, Claremont for sure, and maybe even Byrne to an extent, they are very much feminists. They are out there trying to make these female characters feel like more than just the token woman. When you look at 1960s Fantastic Four, I love a lot of that, but you have Reed Richards, who's the brain, you have Thing, who is the brawn, then you have Johnny, who's the hot-headed kid, and then you have Sue, who's the woman, and then you look at the 1960s Incredible Hulk, and that's basically all that Betty Ross is. She is the woman, and everyone else kind of has a role that they play. And I feel like Claremont and his collaborators have been trying to get away from that. Storm feels different than Jean, and when Dazzler and Kitty Pryde were introduced, they both felt different from each other. These are characters. They're not just the woman who's here so that it's not so much of a bowl of sausage soup. This is a fleshed out character that we are getting here, and I like that. Now, getting back to some of the stuff I didn't like, we get a whole lot of, like I said, a whole lot of character stuff with Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm, Wolverine, etc., and then we get like 20 pages of fight scene with all of the X-Men slowly getting taken out. I wish that we had less of that, and I wish we had more of Cyclops and Jean fighting for their lives. And then, like, they could be fighting Pulsar from the Imperial Guard, and then Jean could say, okay, I felt Colossus, he just got knocked out, so now it's just the four of us, or whatever. I really wish that we could have had a lot more Jean Grey here than what we got. Yes, this is an ensemble series, but as far as anybody knew, this was the very last time that we were ever going to see Jean Grey again. again. And we don't get that much of her. In the first, like, 10 pages, we get one page where she's thinking about what's going to happen, and then we get a whole lot of fight scenes with the other X-Men, and then we get, like, 2 pages of Scott and Jean saying, let's go, you know, I'm with you to the end of the line. And then Jean very quickly becomes Dark Phoenix, and then she kills herself. And I wish that we had a lot more of Jean and Scott here, knowing that they are very likely going to die, and then maybe Jean can kind of slowly come to that decision of, I can't let the X-Men die for me. I have to do this. I feel like that would have been much more powerful. You can focus on Scott and Storm and Nightcrawler. You can have all of them and their reactions in the coming issues. The next issue, a little bit of spoilers here, but it's the funeral of Jean Grey, and we get to see basically a summation of the X-Men up until this point. After that, you could have done another issue where all the X-Men are kind of taking it easy around the mansion, and Wolverine is thinking like, you know, there'll never be another broad like you, Jean. And then, you know, Nightcrawler is thinking like, it's hard for me to forgive Jean for what she did, but also I knew her as a person, and it's hard for me to realize that she's gone. You could have done a lot of the character stuff with the other X-Men later on. You could have devoted an entire issue to that, and you could have had this be a normal-sized issue that really focuses on Jean and Scott. I wish that they had done that, and I think this would have been a much more powerful ending to the story if they had. So that is about all that I have to say about this issue. I hope that you guys like this video, and I will see you guys in the future with more videos. In the meantime, have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.